articles written about the case that were circulated publicly. State's Exhibit 20, which is a redacted view of auditorium, closed circuit TV camera for Fulton High School. State's Exhibit 21, which is another closed circuit camera from Fulton High School of the East Hall. State's Exhibit 22, which is another Fulton High School closed circuit camera footage of the public entries for the auditorium. State's Exhibits 23A, 23B, 23C. 23A and B are the full video. They did not want this, so they bring it to from recordings obtained from Jeremy Walker's video files. This one is the crowd camera raw video. 23C is the redacted shortened contents of portions from State's Exhibit 24, which is broken into A, and 24B. 24A is the full contents of the video file obtained from Mr. Watkins' video files. It's titled C0147. It's from the same camera recording as State's Exhibit 23. It resumes after the incident. State's Exhibit 25, also A and B. A being the full contents of the video, and B the redacted version. This one is titled Clip 2071. Again, from Mr. Watkins' video files. State's Exhibit 26, which is broken, full video is broken into two parts, 26A, 26B, and then a redacted version is 26C. Video files for this is C0149. This is the camera that was on the other side of the auditorium facing the stage. And finally, State's Exhibit 27, which is the cell phone video obtained from the street personnel Jesse Jones. It's the full recording. It's not meant by stipulation. No objection.
I'll accept the stipulation to exhibits 1, 3 through 9, 16, 17, 20 through 22, 23A, B, and C, 24A, D, 25A, and B, 26A, B, and C, and 27. And jury, what goes back to the jury? In the jury room, we'll have a discussion outside of the presence of leaders.
Approach, Madam Clerk, please dispense.
You may.
Or would like to see his first witness, Marc Stewart. Marc Stewart.
Sir, if you hold as a witness, if you'll please approach. Please, Madam Clerk, raise your right hand and be sworn.
You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to offer in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Thank you.
And then, sir, if you make your way all the way over here to the witness stand, have a seat, make yourself comfortable. And when you're ready, Mr. Hunter, you may inquire.
Good afternoon. afternoon. Can you please say your full name and spell your last name for the record?
Marc Stewart, last name is spelled Stewart.
And Mr. Stewart, what do you do for a living?
I do marketing communications work for the Trouette School District.
And how long have you been doing that?
6 months.
And are you a member of the Cook County Republican Senate Committee?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been a member of that?
I was elected in 2024.
And what positions do you currently hold with the Cook County Republican Senate Committee?
I don't hold any positions, I'm just a precinct committee member.
Okay. Did you hold any positions back in February of 2025, and specifically on or about February 22nd?
Yes, I did. I was on the legislative subcommittee for the KCRCC.
And explain for the jury what the legislative subcommittee does for the KCRCC.
So what they do is there are two parts to their mission. One is resolutions that come forward to the KCRCC, so they review those and they try to look for grammatical mistakes and things that aren't correct, and then they give feedback to the author and kind of help that process along. That's one thing they do. And the other thing they do would be town halls throughout the year. So if there's to have legislative folks there so that the public can come talk to interact with their legislative people. So having a part of that couple too. So.
And in your experience on the legislative committee, and specifically with regard to the planning of those town halls, where were they usually held, so far as you're aware?
Well, typically they'd be held in a church.
Were you involved with helping to plan a town hall event that was scheduled to occur on February 22nd, 2025?
Yes, there was.
And was that one also going to occur in church?
Initially it was, but then it was, wasn't really explained why, but there was the church wasn't available anymore, and so then they were looking for alternative locations.
And did you have a role in trying to find an alternative location?
I did. In fact, I was the one who suggested that they consider having it at a school. And so then there were several that were discussed: Coeur d'Alene, Post Falls, and Lakewood.
And was one of those schools ultimately settled on as the location for that event in February 2025?
Yes,
Which one was selected?
Coeur d'Alene.
And describe to you why you suggested a school as opposed to a church or a different church.
Yeah, I felt that my reasoning came down to not everyone wants to blend their politics with their religion. So I might get a different demographic. I also thought there'd be better parking, a bigger venue.
And during the planning of this town hall event, what was your understanding as far as nature of the event in terms of private, limited admission, or public?
It was a public event.
Was that part of the thought process in selecting a school with a bigger venue, or parking, that sort of thing?
Absolutely. And I heard from my people in my precinct who didn't like, they didn't go to one of the previous ones because it wasn't a church they didn't care for. So I was trying to be responsive to the people in my precinct by trying to have a different venue.
Did you ever see any of the advertising that was done for this town hall event?
I did.
If I could get State's Exhibit 1. If I can get close to it, John.
You may.
Stewart, I'm having you has been a State's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize that item?
I do.
And how do you recognize it?
This was the flyer that was created, not by me, but by somebody else. This was
so based upon that, what's contained in that advertising, and your understanding, is to go to draw in as many people as possible to come to this event.
Yes.
And then sign our permission to publish this.
You may.
Small. Now, describe, if you would, for the jury, how you went about reserving the Coeur d'Alene High School for this event.
Okay, so the first thing I did was I reached out to the superintendent and talked to him about the possibility of having a town hall at one of the high schools. And he directed me to someone in one of the district office, the office manager, one of those folks, to get the paperwork going. Yeah.
Did you have to submit any like application or agreement to the school?
It was like an online form that I filled out.
And describe your recollection of the kind of information it asked for with regard to this event.
My recollection is that it just asked for what the event was, to describe what the purpose was of it, and I did.
Students. Mr. Stewart, I'm handing you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 2. You can look through that document, it's a few pages. And once you've done so, let me know if you recognize that.
I do.
Then how do you recognize it?
This is what I got an electronic copy of this after filling it out and came back.
And does that appear to be a true and accurate copy of the facility use agreement that you submitted to reserve for high school, specifically auditorium for February 22nd, 2025?
Yes, it does.
Design number 2, Schmidt, State's Exhibit 2.
Any objection? When reserve ruling on exhibit 2, we'll have a discussion outside the presence of the jury on exhibit 2.
And so just as far as the information that you put into that facility use agreement, was it consistent with what you testified to here in terms of the public and the public?
Yes.
The recollection of the process for submitting that was actually a required aspect of this, that you reserve the, specifically the auditorium, is that what you were doing?
Yeah, it was the first step in that. There's multiple parts to it, but that was my responsibility to do that part, so I did.
Now, at any point prior to February 22nd, were you aware of security arrangements being made for this event?
Yes.
And describe what you were aware of in terms of what was planned by the legislature.
I was told that.
And would this be perfect on the listener, not for truth of the matter asserted that witnesses?
Well, what he's testifying to is not the effect on the listener, he is testifying as to what he was told, which is hearsay. Objection sustained.
Were you independently aware of any security arrangements that were being made
Sheriff Robert Morris.
You mentioned emails that you received. At some point, we included on an email chain where that was identified,
Yes,
and you were told that was identified by as the security for the event.
that was the question, who is the security? Because at one point, the school up in the district actually asked me who was going to be security. And so then I inquired, and that's what I was told.
Who did you inquire with?
Jamie Haas,
And what was her role within the legislative?
she was the chair of the legislative committee.
So during this email exchange with school district, Ms. Haas identified Sheriff Norris as what would be security.
Yes, she did.
And if I approach, maybe that, three. I'm handing you, it's been admitted as State's Exhibit 3. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, I do.
And have you recognized it?
It's an email that I received, it's an email thread.
Is that what you were just testifying to in terms of the email exchange that took place?
Yes.
Anywhere in the contents of that email was either Paul Trouette or their asset management mentioned.
No.
And based on your experience with prior town hall events that the KCRCC put on, what, if anything, did you think when you heard that Sheriff Morris was going to propose security this time?
I didn't think too much of it, simply because he also was going to be doing the pledge or something along those lines, so it didn't really strike me as unusual.
Had there been security arranged for prior town hall events for the KCRCC?
I was not aware of that.
Now, I want to direct your attention to the day of the event on February 22nd. Were you present for the town hall event itself that day?
I was.
And did you see Sheriff Robert Morris there?
I did.
Did you see any other individuals there that also appeared to be acting in a security capacity?
There were other individuals there that were, yes.
And if you could explain kind of what led you to think that those might also be security persons?
The way they were dressed,
Were they wearing shirts, uniforms with security on them?
no. But they had, I wasn't sure who they were. To me, they could have been sheriff deputies that weren't, or off duty or something. I didn't know who they were.
So was it the manner of their dress that would give you that idea that they may be involved in that capacity somehow?
Trying to find the right descriptive word for it, but it seemed almost like a paramilitary type outfit that they were wearing, but it was hard to say what they were exactly.
And so as the event began, it was taking place, you were present for that.
Yes.
Where were you at in the auditorium?
I was in one of the entryways. I was moving around because there was quite a bit of preparations and things going, so I moved in the entryway. At one point, I went down in the seats, but I did move around a little bit just to be flexible because we were putting on an event, so like if somebody needed water, we had to get that, so I was just in position where kind of in the entryway.
And if you recall, how many entryways are there to the auditorium for the high school?
I believe there's two main.
Were both being used for admission to this event?
No, only for one.
describe from your perspective what the atmosphere was like.
Well, I would say it was a politically charged atmosphere right off the bat.
Was there anything specific that kind of gave that feeling, or was it just an overall vibe of the event?
Well, right away, there were comments from, I guess, both sides of the political spectrum, depending on where, some people were unhappy, probably farther right, some people were farther left, but there was generally the vibe of tension in the air, for sure.
And during the course of that meeting, did you see any instances where individuals were removed from the meeting?
I did.
And describe what you witnessed from your perspective. Well, let me back up before we get to that question. Were you still standing in that entranceway, that main entranceway, while that was taking place?
Yes.
And so from that vantage point, describe what you saw. Sorry.
Well, I did see, there's a couple different parts to that. So I did see some individuals that would be approached by whoever these security folks were, talk to them, and then I think one may have gotten up and left very early, but then there was an incident that I did witness and saw an individual being carried out by 4 or 5 people.
And so with that first instance, someone who was asked to leave, up and left, where were they seated, if you recall?
I want to say they were to my right, and almost behind me, but not quite.
And do you recall what, so far as you can tell, was the reason for that person's leaving?
I wasn't even clear what that reason was, because I heard a lot of people kind of shouting at the legislative folks that were yelling, so I wasn't really clear who was saying what. So I wasn't sure what triggered. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't even think about it. It did in my brain. Like, I don't know if that was, I don't know what happened there. But
I'm not entirely sure if that individual shouted something or had shouted anything at all.
I wasn't clear.
And so I think you mentioned the second person that was carried out, I think was your words, describe a little bit more to what you saw as that was taking place.
Well, I didn't know what had happened. I mean, it was very loud. The MC was yelling at the audience, and it was very tense, and it was just very uncomfortable. So I don't know what precipitated whatever happened. I didn't see it in that moment, but it was very loud, and I didn't know even who it was when they were carried out until they got literally 2 feet away from me as they went by.
Did you know who it was at that point?
All I knew at that point was that it was a female, but I didn't know who it was.
And you describe what the scene that you saw as you passed in front of you at that entrance.
Well, I saw this person's hair getting pulled, and it was like a struggle, but there was hair. I saw clothes getting pulled up. I saw her bra. It was like, whoa, okay, I'm doing this. So, yeah.
When you saw that, what did that make you think?
What was upsetting?
For you, from your perspective, from the goal as far as you understood it for this particular event was what was taking place, consistent with that goal?
What was taking place? It was definitely not consistent with what they told me.
And so, after that woman, was she fully taken out of the auditorium?
Yes.
Did you remain in the event after she was removed?
I think I probably moved, at some point, I probably moved to the entranceway out to see what was going on, what has happened. Just to kind of get a Well, in the aftermath of that, a lot of people got up and left. So I witnessed, in fact, I was on the outside of the auditorium when people were coming out, and there were a lot of comments and a lot of just looks on their faces, and it was, yeah, I won't forget that.
Give an estimate of how many people at the outset of the event were in attendance in the auditorium.
I want to say close to 500, maybe 400 or 500 people.
And after it resumed, what was your estimate of how many people?
I think at least 150 left.
And after the meeting resumed, did people shouting things, did that stop? Or did it continue?
My recollection is that it died down for a little bit, and then it picked up. There was a great deal of frustration from the crowd. They were frustrated because they wanted to interact with the legislative people.
Also speculation.
Did you see anyone else in those instances when people were voicing that frustration? Anyone else told to leave, else dragged out of the meeting?
I did not.
As far as individuals that seem to be supportive of what the legislators were saying, were any of those individuals dragged out?
Not that I'm aware of. There were people that were challenging the legislator from the far right that were very upset with Jordan Redmond in particular. He was talking about Medicaid, Medicare, Medicare.
Let me ask you another question, kind of subcoming. Was there ever an actual question and answer period during the course of the event?
I think it's very telling they did a little bit of that.
Explain how, at least as far as the planning, went, so far as you were involved in that, what the plan was for that question and answer period.
So the idea was that when people came there, they would write down their questions for the legislative people, and then those would be pulled out and read. And so there was that going on, so there must have been, and then part of my job was to sort through those questions. So Jamie, Haas, and I went through them and found a couple of questions that we thought would be relevant to the town hall, but people who heard. So we did that.
And who was asking those questions during that portion of the town hall meeting?
I think it wasn't, it might have been the MC and Eric Cameron's name, I think they were handing it to him, and I think that's my recollection.
And Ron, he was acting as moderator throughout this event.
Yes.
Now, after this event took place, you were told you were contacted by investigators from the Portland Police Department regarding what took place.
Yes,
And did you speak to them about what took place?
absolutely.
How effectively what you testified to were effective?
Yes.
And you mentioned at the outset that you were a member of the legislative committee for case RCC at the time since it occurred. When did you stop being part of it?
Well, shortly there, I think that, shortly thereafter.
I'm sorry if there's an objection. Hold on.
Relevance.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
It has to do with what caused him to come on the legislative.
What is the relevance?
It has to go to, I think, what the fallout from this investigation on law enforcement from RCC.
can't, in the moment, I did not see him, he was not engaged in,
Not physically,
not physically.
but he was present at both of those removals.
He was in the building, he was in the auditorium.
Did you see him engage with either of the two individuals that were removed?
Not until later.
Okay. You said that once you started seeing individuals removed, the situation became fluid, right?
Yeah.
Was there any real break once kind of pandemonium of people being removed stops? Was there a break from that point until everything got back in?
Well, I remember the legislative folks got off the stage of the auditorium, so there was a little bit of a delay. So yes, there was.
And do you know what was going on during that time?
Well, people were exiting, so I knew that was going on. But I didn't really know. I mean, it was just kind of chaos. I wasn't really sure what else was happening.
And did you ever have any conversations with the sheriff as it relates to the security of the event?
No.
What about I think you testified that you were unaware of any other security members that were coming to be at the event?
The morning of the event, Jamie Haas was there. I saw the security folks there, and I asked Jamie, "Who are these guys? Who are they?" Because I was understanding it was just going to be Sheriff Norris. Jamie's first answer was, "I don't know who they are." Then I said, "Well, that's kind of weird. Why would they be here?" And then she said, "Well, there was a threat made against Gordon Redmond, and so maybe they're here with them, but I really don't know." And so that I was like, okay. I mean, that kind of made sense to me. It didn't alarm me, but that's what I know.
Any regrets?
Briefly. Mr. Stewart was EDC, present here in court, that the security individuals event on February 22nd. We asked you about.
Maybe the gentleman here. Right here.
But gentlemen here, motion for defense statement.
Yeah, but that's, I don't recognize anyone else. I mean, I'd be hard pressed from me.
No further questions.
Any cross?
No.
May this witness be excused?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. You wouldn't mind heading to exhibit before you step down? Thank you. Say the call to next witness.
City call Kelly Q.
You have been called as a witness, so make your way this way, and you see Madam Clerk standing here, please stand in front of Madam Clerk, raise your right hand, and be sworn.
Can you tell me where the testimony about the offer in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and the truth?
And then if you could make your way all the way back over here to the witness stand, please. Thank you. Have a seat, make yourself comfortable. When you're ready, Mr. Hunter, you may inquire.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Presenting here, if you please say your full name and start off.
Kelly Christine Human, Humann.
And Ms. Heelan, how are you?
Federal Program School District.
And what role do you play?
I'm facility manager at Fulton High School.
How long have you worked in that position?
I've been with Ed Fulton in that position for a year, this month.
And,
But I've been there for 3 years.
by there you mean with the Portland?
I was a facility manager. Prior to that, I worked as a solution attorney.
And if you, just so the jury can understand understand, describe briefly kind of what your role is as facility manager and
I details a lot. I oversee the high school in a whole. I set up for events. We do have rentals, we have sporting events. I'm in charge of the school's cleanliness every single day, so that's basically what I'm about.
And does that include involvement with set up and tear down, clean up after
Correct.
public events that are held?
Correct.
I want to direct your attention back to February 20th, 2025. Do you recall the events that day?
I do.
And specifically, do you recall participating in a walkthrough at Portland High School that day?
I do.
And if you recall, what was the reason for that walkthrough?
We were doing a walkthrough in order to show the KCRCC where their tables and chairs and flags would be placed for the event that day, and just show them the space that they would be renting for that day.
And do you specifically remember the individuals present for that walkthrough?
I do. I don't remember names exactly for the ladies,
Okay.
but I do.
Do you see present here in court any individuals that were present for that walkthrough?
Yeah.
And you can identify where that person is seated and I don't believe it.
Black suit. You see the left of me.
And direct your honor that the witnesses identified today.
It also was what?
Were you aware of the defendant's name at the time? Who he was?
No, it was not.
Did you know why he was present for the walkthrough at the time?
It did not.
And so far as, let me back up, when did you meet with representative KCRCC, the defendant, for this walkthrough?
So the day of the walkthrough, I think we were set to meet at 3:30 or something at some time, and he had showed up like 20 to 30 minutes prior to the time that we were set to go through. At the time, we did not know that he would be along with the ladies that were showing up, and so we waited for one lady to get there. That was the one that we were being contacted.
And do you recall the defendant saying anything when the walkthrough was actually taking place?
Yeah, so we kind of just showed them the gist of where they were, and then he kind of started asking like where delegates could make their way out of the building if something needed to happen, the different areas of the auditorium, which where the doors led to basically, and where he could have people park if need be, and that sort of stuff.
Did he, while he was asking those questions or during the course of that walkthrough, did he indicate what role he would be playing?
About, I would say halfway into the conversation, he kind of did say that he was going to be security for the event, and I was unaware that there was going to be any security at that point in time, so that's kind of caught me off guard.
He had previously been informed up to that point that there would be security for the event was held later that week.
Can you say that again, please?
So you hadn't previously been told by anyone or informed that there would be security for that?
No.
And so I guess based upon what took place during that walkthrough, what you heard, circumstances of it, did that cause you any concern that you felt you need to let anyone else know?
At that time, it kind of just was interesting that he was talking like this, and it wasn't until later on that a phone call made me concerned from Mr. Trouette.
What phone call was that? Why did
Later after the walkthrough, I received a call from him stating, asking me if he was able to carry guns on campus. And I just kind of said no to him, and that's just a diploma. And he kind of wanted to push back with me, and I didn't know the rules or the laws per se. So I handed it over to our SRO, Josh Renell. At that time, that he'd have to speak with him.
Did you update SRO over now on the information you knew up to that point?
Correct, I did.
22nd, and then when did you do cleanup or break down, whatever role that you have for that?
I did it on that following Monday because everything was so chaotic. I just shut the doors that day and left. So I did do cleanup on Monday morning prior to school starting. So, and I usually do it at the school.
And so when you were doing cleanup for the auditorium following this event, describe what anything you found.
Everything was left as it was from that day, and as I was putting the podium and the tables away for that day, I found a clipboard.
Describe what was on that clipboard.
On that clipboard was a yellow pad of paper and some other papers, and I kind of just ran through it quickly. And it's pretty common for people to leave things behind after rentals, and so just to kind of make contact with where it belongs to, so I didn't.
Oh, no, you're fine. Do you recall where in the auditorium you found that clipboard?
It was either on a chair or on top of the podium. I can't remember exactly, but I know the vicinity in which I was standing when I grabbed it that day.
The chair was at the chair was in front of the.
It was on stage it was on the stage of the auditorium.
Oh. And so what did you do with the clipboard after you said?
So my office is right in the same hallway as the auditorium, and so I cleaned up as fast as I could that Monday morning, and then I threw the clipboard in my office so I could go open the school and get that day started. And I threw it in the pile of papers that was just right there because I'm the only person in the building.
And at some point, did you either contact the owner of the clipboard or were you contacted about the clipboard?
I was contacted about the clipboard,
And who were you contacted about?
Mr. Trouette.
And do you recall, did he come with you to retrieve the clipboard or did you bring it to him? How did that go?
He called and came in, and I handed it over to him at that time.
Do you recall what date that was that you handed it off to him?
It was that Monday.
And so you returned the clipboard to him. Did you make a discovery relevant to that at some point?
Yeah,
in the case?
So I had just taken over this position and I had piles of papers and all on my desk. So I guess when I picked up the clipboard that day, it must have dropped the packet off of it, and I didn't find it until 12 days later. And when I found that he had a plan of some sort that was on that clipboard, it had fallen off.
Without going into the contents of specifically the contents of the document that you found, did you have reason to believe that it was associated with the clipboard? And what did you do, if anything, with that document at that point?
I then turned that over to our SRO, Josh, as well.
Okay. I'm handing you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 10. If you look through that briefly, and then tell me if you recognize that one.
I do.
And how do you recognize it?
This was what was on that clipboard that day, and what I found.
And so there's back up, that's a couple of questions. So as far as you can tell, does that appear to be one of the documents on the clipboard when you first discovered it in the auditorium?
Yes, it is.
And then does that appear to be the same document that you later discovered in the pile of papers after returning the clipboard to Mr. Trouette? Correct. And is that the same document that you then turned over to SRO?
Yes.
And I will retrieve that from you. That is all questions that I have. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
the